Hey folks, and welcome back. The following is a transcription of a massive blog post I did on Friday there regarding the removal of flight in Warlords and beyond. So sit back and enjoy. So it happened. Blizzard via Ian Has It Cost Us, aka Watcher, finally admitted that flight will not be returning. Not just in WoD, oh god no, that would be bad enough. But the big news here, and the one that has the players up in absolutely riotous arms at the moment, is future expansions will not allow flying either. Ever. That's right, no flight ever again in any future WoW expansions. Wow. Wah. Subscriber numbers only really shot off like a rocket in TBC. That's the expansion where flight was added in. And so far they've lost over 3 million subscribers in Warlords where flight was removed. Which, if you need reminding, is not only the single biggest single quarter decline in the game's history, but it's also the single biggest decline in the game's history during an expansion. And we're only halfway through this one. Can we spot a trend or causal factor here? Apparently Blizzard can't, but I'm pretty fucking sure the rest of us can. Flight for me is imperative in WoW. I've really struggled in Warlords, I really have. Being forcibly grounded in my garrison more or less because flight isn't permitted has felt like being jailed. It's been claustrophobic, limiting, smothering. A massive part of the game for me has always been the freedom to explore. That's what I am, an explorer. I love to see new things, old things from new vantage points, vistas that no one else has seen before, or out of the way locations that few would ever bother to visit. One of the first achievements I rack up in every expansion previous to this has always been the exploration achievement. I only picked it up a couple of weeks ago after 7 months in Draenor. That should say everything right there. The ability to have control over where you go, at the pace you decide, as often as you want and when you want it. The feeling of soaring into the sky and seeing the ground fall away beneath you until everything's a teeny tiny dot, or more realistically, level of detail clipped out. The ability to sit in mid-air and just relax, looking out over the terrain, making a decision of what to do next or where to go. We won't ever have that again. With flight, there are so many possibilities for things to do when actively out in the world. Oh, there's an archaeology node over there. Let's go. Ah, there's a quest I missed just on my way through levelling. I'll quickly go to do that. I have 5 minutes left before I have to go make dinner. I wonder what the view's like from up there. Wonder what's over there. That looks interesting. What is that? Without flight, all of that quickly becomes... Oh, there's an archaeology node way over there. Behind that pile of mobs. Fuck it, I'll stay in my garrison. There's a quest I've missed on my way through levelling. It'll probably take 20 minutes to finish off by the time I ride over there and fight my way past umpteen mobs. I don't have time for that. I've got to make dinner in 5 minutes. Fuck it, I'll stay in my garrison. I'll never know what the view's like from up there. Where's my Hearthstone? I really can't be arsed to see what's over there. It'll just be a pain getting there. Where's my Hearthstone? That looks interesting, but it'll be a massive hassle getting past all that terrain. I'll probably have to make a massive fucking detour just to get up that small hill. Fuck it, back to the garrison. Lack of flight kills any single trace of interest in me about actually going out into the world. Can you imagine what a pain in the arse archaeology is in Iraq? A zone so thick with mobs that you can barely find a spot to AFK in when you need to. Exploring Iraq, Gorgrond, Frostfire Ridge, hell, any of the zones is at best, irritating without flight. At worst, a reason not to. A reason not to engage. A reason not to bother. A reason just to stay in your garrison. And let's face it, staying in our garrisons is something a lot of us have done, pretty much all expansion. Not out in the world. Oh no. Not exploring, not engaging, not consuming content or playing with other people. Nope, it's been solo idling in our garrisons, waiting for follower missions to complete, so we can click, done our way through resending them back out again. Pretty much a Facebook-style experience that could easily be recreated on mobile platforms with very little effort. Very little effort. Fitting that, because that's the amount of effort Blizzard are putting into WoW these days, since 5.4 in fact. That's why we don't have flight, because no flight means that they can put in less content and have it stretch out for longer and for further. Because you're having to fight and get rid of the train of mobs you've pulled trying to get from A to B before you can actually tackle or find your quest objective, which frequently is just a single click experience to collect something. Compelling gameplay indeed. Or worse still, once fighting your way through to B, to be told you've actually got to go to C, via a massive detour, kill X mobs and pick up a pile of stuff from them, and then come back to B again via that massive detour, before moving on to D and E, and then back to your garrison for the hand-in. I'm looking at you here, Harrison Jones. All the while having to navigate terrain that's badly made, meaning the obvious path isn't actually the path. and frequently you have to make those aforementioned massive detours, again, through tons of mobs to actually get somewhere which was literally yards from where you started on the map. It's an exercise in frustration and busy work, just to say the least. Realistically, Blizzard could have made the leveling experience a bunch of solo scenarios in areas similar to those in-game at the moment, and have another solo instance with your garrison in it, for all the outworld travelling that most people do that never notice the difference. The other slice of absolute genius that Blizzard managed to drop this week, and they're on a roll folks, was the changes to the itemization coming in Hellfire Citadel, the raid coming in 6.2. First off and most importantly, weapons, trinkets and tier pieces will all be different item levels. Now if that was the same for each player, that might be fine, but no, it's sure shit not the same for each player, fuck no. Players that use two-handed swords or intellect staves will be able to get the maximum item level weapons, and that's 705 in normal, 720 for heroic and 735 for mythic, whilst, well, here's the breakdown. One-handed strength sword comes in 695 and 700 flavours. The two-handed strength sword comes in 690 and 705. This is all just normal mode by the way, where 705 is the max item level. Wands, 695 only. Agility daggers, 690 and 700. Intellect staves, 695, 700 and 705. Agility staff, 695 only. So whilst intellect staff and two-handed sword users get a nice 705 weapon for normal mode Archimond, agility staff users, i.e. monks and druids, get shafted. And casters that prefer a wand get rewarded with a lowly 695 weapon for their equal efforts, a full 10 item levels lower. Add into that, various players' trinkets will also follow the same mixed item level ethos, where one player's best in slot trinket is maybe 705, whilst the player next to him, her best in slot trinket is perhaps 690, 15 item levels lower. Furthermore, secondary stats being skewed one way or the other will add further complication into the gearing equation. In an expansion where Blizzard were supposedly simplifying gearing, suddenly we'll be going from, yeah, it's a higher item level but has slightly less of my preferred secondary/achievement stat, but the increase in item level will compensate for that surely, to it's a higher item level but it has way less of my achievement stat. Will the increase in item level actually compensate for that? It'll actually get to the point where we'll need to sim shit out just to figure out if something's actually an upgrade, given how instrumental our secondary stats have become now. GG Blizz, you've really done a great job at simplifying that gearing issue. Bring back reforging for fuck's sake. In fact, bring out a store mount that flies, with a reforging vendor on the side that allow only that mount to fly in current content going forwards. Ker fucking ching. So with all that said, Blizzard have in all honesty killed off my interest in playing the game past Warlords. Reliability and fairness in raid drops is something that should be sacrosanct, set in stone, that one guy's gear will be the same in item level as the next, that they'll both have a fair shake of the stick when it comes to drops, and you'll never feel gypped or robbed of equality when it comes to the main reason, if we're completely honest, that a lot of raiders play the game for. Gear, loots, purples, epics. Take away that equality and fairness from players and they will not be happy. And I don't think a lot of the community has actually caught on to this at the minute, as I think a lot of them are actually assuming that there are drops for everyone at each differing item level. There isn't. And add in the lack of flight in future expansions, robbing players of agency over their own travel, their ability to take on whatever the hell they feel like taking on at any particular moment, given their own personal schedules and availability. We shouldn't have to plan out 30 minutes plus just to tackle 4 or 5 quests in a question. And again, I'm looking at you here, Jonesy. With a player base aging alongside the game, players have less and less time to devote to the game in a single stretch. The obvious exception to this is raiding, where we can set aside a defined portion of our time to devote to this structured group activity. Sometimes for some of us, getting that time every week is a negotiation process, because we've wives, husbands, kids, jobs, other interests all tugging at our available time. I mean, we just want to dip into WoW and get something done in the 10, 20, 30 minutes we have free before the spouse gets home, the dinner needs made, you need to get the kids ready for bed or before you have to go out for work. Putting less and less content into the game, I mean, SOO lasted a full 14 months before Warlords launched, and that one shot per character content is still as hell 8 months and a risible 6.1 patch later. Stretching the meagre content that is there tissue thin by giving us irritating busy work with random mobs between objectives. Raising not only subscription prices but expansion pack prices too. For what? Less content? Putting real money store mounts into the Blizzard shop that we'll never be able to use to their full potential in any and all future content. There's been 4 since Warlords launched. All are flyers. And full disclosure, I bought the Mystic Runesaber last week before all this shit came out. Selling gear for real money, finally. We all knew that was coming. And if you don't know, Apex's 675 gear is being sold for gold in 6.2, and buying WoW tokens gets you that gold, so communicating less and less with the community, The developers have en masse largely abandoned the forums and Twitter, funneling all their official communications through their @WarcraftDevs Twitter account, or through non-WoW specific third-party website interviews. Example, see how Watcher info dumped the bad news regarding No More Flight on a Friday afternoon before a long bank holiday weekend on a third-party website completely unrelated to World of Warcraft, rather than on a Monday morning on the official website or the official forums. Listening to the community less and less, a community that is desperately trying to make you see sense about the inane decisions that you seem to keep stumbling into time and time again this expansion. Listening to the vocal minority far too much. Mythic Raiden only caters to about 2 to 5% of the player base as a whole. It makes the rest of us feel like second-class citizens, and only a very small minority have supported the No More Flight stance on the forums and Twitter. Yet these are the same people that the devs are listening to far too much time and time again. Not the overwhelming majority, they're an outrage over Watcher's revelation on Friday. Far too much echo chamber effect. It's really just compounded failure upon failure with lack of foresight and stubborn-headedness. I've got 4 months left to run on my current 6-month sub, and I've 10 times more gold than I need to fill out the rest of Warlords with WoW tokens. After that, I think I'm done. Unless Blizzard do a 180 on this decision, and let's face it, that's not something they're absolute strangers to, breaking promises they made before people handed over their money. Just relent on those promises once they had the punters' cash safely tucked away. We won't be having Flight at the start, but we'll likely introduce it pretty soon after launch. Give us your money. Ka-ching! We won't be reintroducing Flight in future content ever again. It all points to a company that doesn't care. They don't care about the subs numbers or the future of the game. It's like WoW has become this huge burden to them, a chore to maintain, an obstruction to their future endeavours, something they feel obliged to do whilst working on other stuff they really want to do, like Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, the Warcraft movie, Overwatch, etc. It's a real shame because it used to be the greatest MMO in existence, one that we thought would maybe run for another 10 years or more, but it seems that once they got over that particular anniversary, any and all enthusiasm for carrying on suddenly evaporated into thin air. It's the keystone for me for the rest of the Blizzard gaming universe. The one I mainly play whilst playing Blizzard's other games on the periphery such as Diablo 3, Hearthstone, StarCraft 2. Without that, I'll likely not bother with those in future either. Hell, my Steam back catalogue's probably ready to file for divorce right about now and file for maintenance money. Perhaps they should just give us Sargeras in the next expansion and finally call it a day and shutter further development. I know they haven't actually already done that as much as it may seem so. And do it before the remainder of the player base does it for them.